You know, I've heard a lot of people complain about playing sequential patterns on the bass, how much they hate them, how much they don't sound like music, how monotonous they are. I happen to love them, and I'm going to show you exactly how I turn those patterns into music. Friends and neighbors, welcome back to the Brownstone. Today, we are talking about sequential patterns. I love sequential patterns. If you don't know what a sequential pattern is, those are those patterns that you are told to practice day in and day out to keep your chops up, volume. Things like thirds. You've heard these things a million times. Today, I want to show you one of these patterns, a typical sequential pattern. And I'm going to show you how I turn these patterns into more melodic ideas that you can then use in the real world. I have always found these patterns to be super important, not just to keep your chops up, but to give you some ideas on how you can manipulate these patterns, not just as far as the notes that you choose and how they are played, but also in the way that you phrase them. This is where the music happens. There's that famous Debussy quote that says music is only the space between the notes. Very important. So how about we get right into it? I'm going to take the pattern of taking triads through, and I'm going to be using a G major scale. So the exercise itself is just taking G major triads through the G major scale. I'm basically starting triads from each degree of G major. So that's that. And then I can go backwards. And then I always do this. When I go down to like that triad that goes to the major seventh below the root, in other words, the semitone below the root, it's easy for me to turn the exercise into a loop, because if I play that and then resolve on the root, then I can just start the pattern over again. So on and so forth. So all I'm doing is I'm taking triads through and starting each triad from each degree of the major scale. If you are one of these folks like me who likes to use the numbers in the scale and not necessarily think about the names of the notes, which is also important, then just remember what degree you're on, right? This is a great way to help you to know where you are within the scale. So here I'm going 1, 2, these are the degrees that I'm using. 3, third note of the scale. So I always know where I am. 4, 5, fifth note of the scale, 6th note of the scale, 7th note, and then resolve. So no matter what sequential pattern I might be playing, I'm always thinking of the numbers, because that keeps me on track for the next pattern. Okay, so here is our pattern. What we're going to be doing is playing triads ascending on the scale, but playing the triads backwards. Whereas before I was playing root, third, fifth, or 1, 3, 5. So I'm going to reverse that and play 5, 3, 1, right? And again, if I'm using the numbers, then all I'm doing is just adding a number every time. This is great. If you are numbering the notes, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 notes that we're working with. So number them. You can use the numbers or you can use the note names, just as valuable. But I think if you're just starting out and you find the note names intimidating, numbers are a whole lot easier and it'll get you through the scale quickly. So here's what I'm doing. If I play 5, 3, 1, then I'm just going to be playing the next degrees of those 3 notes. So if I go 5, 3, 1, then the next thing is going to be 6, 4, 2. What comes after that? 7, 5, 3, 8, 6, 4. Again, these are just the degrees or the numbers of the scale. 9, 7, 5, 10, 8, 6, 11, 9, 7, and I'm back to G. So before we get into turning the exercise into actual music, then just work on that pattern. For some of y'all, this could be the end of the video. Just to work on getting this happening. 9, I want to know where I am at all times. 10, 11, back to G. So, if you're just starting out with exercises like this, then I'm going to tell you to end the video here. But if you are starting out with this pattern and you're up for a challenge, then I want you to check this out. As I said before, we're working with the degrees of the scale. And again, I'm not stopping anyone from using the note names. That is another level of challenge. And if you're up for it, more power to you. But for me, and in order to teach this to you, I think it's a lot easier to use the degrees or the numbers of the scale. So I'm playing this pattern of 5, 3, 2, 1. Now in this particular case, those are the degrees of the scale as well. But I want to apply this pattern of 5th down to the 3rd, and then playing the last 3 notes in the sequence of the scale. 3, 2, 1. 5, 3, 2, 1. So it's like if I'm thinking of what's going on in the scale, I play, skip a note. I skip the 4th there. Skip the 4th and then play 3 notes down. Why is that important? Because as we move this pattern through, then you can remember you're just playing a 3rd and then 3 notes descending on the scale. I'll show you what I mean. So if I start with the first triad, 5, 3, 2, 1. Now, my second triad is going to start on 6, right? But the pattern is, I played the 5th of the triad. There's the 3rd of the triad. 2, 1. Because remember, my second triad is. So I'm just adding the note in between the root and the 3rd of each triad. I hope that makes sense. This is really beautiful because what happens is that you start to create this beautiful melodic pattern that moves its way through the scale. And as I play through the pattern, I'm going to say the degrees of the first note of each of my triads. In other words, 5, I'm playing 5, 3, 2, 1. So then the next note that I start on is going to be 6. Because I started on the 5th of the scale, and I'm moving up to the next triad, which is going to start on the 6th of the scale. So these are the numbers that you will hear me say as I go through. I'm not going to say every number. I'm only going to say the first one so that I know which degree I am starting each of my triads on. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 8, or 1. All right, that may be a little confusing. So I will break it down again, and hopefully you will understand exactly what's going on. I don't want to talk down to anybody, but I don't want to leave anybody behind. This is very important. So my pattern, again, I'm using the triads. But what I'm doing is I'm playing each triad backwards or descending. So with a triad, you play root, 3rd, 5th. And basically, as I play through the G major scale up to the 11th, what I'm doing just by playing the scale is really getting my fingers to know where each of the notes are going to be. So anytime I'm practicing a sequential pattern, the first thing I do is run the scale. My fingers will remember where everything is supposed to be. So when I change the sequence and play different notes, I know where those notes are. They're locked in the muscle memory. So once the notes are locked in the muscle memory, then I can also number those notes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And now those numbers are also locked in the muscle memory. So I know that the 7th is here, and I know that the 4th is here, and I know that the 9th is here. I just know these things. But this comes from just running the scale up and down and numbering those notes, saying the numbers out loud or saying the names of the notes out loud. Does that make sense? Because that brings us to our pattern, which is the first triad being played backwards. That's 5, 3, 1. And if you haven't noticed, I'm just skipping a note each time. 5, skip the 4, go to the 3, skip the 2, go down to the 1. So just playing every other note. So my triad, 5, 3, 1, becomes a 4-note pattern when I play the note in between the 3rd note and the root note. That's the 2. So then my pattern becomes 5, 3, 2, 1. And again, if you're just thinking about the numbers, then you can think about this even without the bass, without playing. Think of how the numbers will work. If I go 5, 3, 2, 1, then my next pattern is going to be what? 6, 4, 3, 2. 7, 5, 4, 3, right? So basically I skip 1 and then down 3 notes. So 5, 3, 2, 1. 6, 4, 3, 2. 7, 5, 4, 3. After a while, you start to hear the pattern. And because you've run this, you ran the scale up and down, ascending and descending, knowing where all the notes are going to be, you hear the pattern, you know where the notes are, and you can execute accordingly. That's the pattern. That's kind of the first level of the exercise. If you can play that 4-note sequence, then you can move on to the next level where we really start to turn this into some more music and involve some different phrasing that'll allow us to interpret the pattern in new and different ways. So here is that next level. What we're going to do is apply a rhythmic pattern to our 4 notes. And the pattern is going to be very sort of old school traditional jazz phrasing wise. It's just going to be 1, ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ga, ga, ga. Let me slow that down and I'll count it through. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and. 1, and 3, and. 1, 2, and 3, and. Volume 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Just practice that. Get the rhythm down. Put the click track on if you need it. But I suggest not doing that first. Get the pattern down. 1, 2, and and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Then see if you can move on to the other triads. Yeah. All right, let me do that again. I'll do it a little bit faster. Right? So what I'm doing there is I'm starting to improvise because I know the notes, I know what notes I'm going for. I have the basic rhythm in my head already. Bum, 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 bum. That's the rhythm. So as I'm playing through, I'm starting to hear variations on that rhythm. Now, because I know what notes I'm going to play, then I can just execute accordingly and vary the rhythm while maintaining the structure of the melodic pattern as I go through the scale. Make sense? I hope so. My dear friends and neighbors, I'm going to leave it there. Hey, listen, if you like this video, go ahead and share it with all your friends or anyone who needs this information. And there are a number of ways that you can help out donating to the channel. I'll leave all the links in the description box. And if you can't donate, a simple like goes a very long way because it allows for more people to see this video and bring more friends and neighbors to the channel who are always welcome. And I thank you so much for visiting me once again here in the Brownstone. And I will see you in the next video soon. Peace.